This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hello, welcome back to Party Loaded, the video gaming podcast. My name is Luke Retallick. It is Wednesday, the 5th of July, and some places around the world, I believe it is probably still the 4th of July. So somewhere in America, there's a whole bunch of people still celebrating the fact that Will Smith saved the world from the aliens again. But we're not there, we're here. So I'll introduce the Party Loaded crew as per usual. We have Ollie, we have Jam, we have Mio. Hello team.
Yo.
How you doing?
Hi, friends.
So, we don't really do the 4th of July thing around here. And isn't Canada Day like the day before that or something crazy? I don't know.
Birthday was, last week.
3rd of July? I'm not sure. The only relevant day that I care about this week is the fact that the Steam sales end tomorrow. And get all that shit done before that plug gets pulled. So, have you guys...
I made my purchases.
Yep.
Finally.
Thank you. I will load up Steam again.
And do that? Yeah. Is everyone satisfied with their hauls? Have we...
Well, since I made my purchases, someone's mentioned Gang Beasts. So if you guys pick up Gang Beasts, tell me so that I can grab it while it's still on sale.
Oh, God.
Okay.
I was about to say, I only purchased one thing. I was so good. And now I want to purchase Gang Beasts. Damn it.
We're gonna have a late night shopping sort of splurge after this show, I'm sure.
Shopping episode. Yeah.
Oh, it's 33% off. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, not to forget a few of those other places that have got sales on at the moment as well. Apparently there's some Xbox Store stuff going on, some GOG stuff. There's just a lot of ways to spend your money, which is just as well because we are right at the beginning of, I should say, dry July. I think, after the plethora of great games we've had at the front end of this year, we've definitely hit the period where there's not a whole lot of big stuff happening for the next month and a bit. So certainly no major releases this month that I've got my eye particularly on. I think we got Splatoon 2 coming at some point, which, because I don't actually own a Switch yet, that's not really a going concern. Yakuza Kiwami is next month. That's not even a July thing, so hang out for that, but that's not for a bit. Is there anything else you guys are sort of immediately looking forward to that's not like an indie title?
Not in July, no.
No.
Nope.
Pretty quiet. But that's all right, because we've got tons of new stuff to play from recent sales. So, Mimo, do you want to kick off with the thing that you've been playing? Because you have been talking about this for a little while, and I was super happy to see you playing during the week, because I know that you were going to have a good time with it. So, what you doing?
I don't know if good time or potential life problem is a good way to describe this game. But I picked up Stardew Valley, and I think I picked it up maybe on the weekend, and I've already got about 20 hours in the game.
Yep.
So,
Ollie, remember what happened
great.
to me when I first started playing this thing? That was...
Yeah, you disappeared.
Oh, yeah, I was gone.
because everyone sort of was jumping on Starbound, and whilst I own Starbound and I do play it sometimes, it's kind of like Minecraft for me. I kind of reached a point where unless I have like a project or a thing that I'm doing, it's not that interesting to me. So in the Steam sale, I thought I'll bite the bullet. I'll pick up Stardew Valley, which I did. I can't remember how much I bought it for. I think I want to say it was around the $6 mark. If someone can look that up, that'd be great. But super cheap. And I started playing it. I am still in my first year, just by a couple of days. I like the game. It has peaks and troughs, and I have to say the controls are a little bit hammy. I don't know how the best way to describe it. I keep digging up the wrong bit of land, and combat's really weird and hard, and I can't turn. I have to swing and then turn.
Are you
very
using
sprite based
controller or keyboard?
Keyboard.
Now that you mentioned that image, and I think there actually is an option in the settings you can turn on, so it actually shows you which squares you're mousing over at any given time. There's definitely something in the controls.
I have that on. It
you have that
still
on?
doesn't
Okay.
necessarily mean that it
$9
happens.
USD.
There you go. Yeah, so it was
that's
under
40% off.
Yeah, so it was a pretty good sale, and a solid game for what that is, and especially the content involved. I am doing good at the farming. I bought some really wicked chickens that have some awesome names. My first chicken ever, I will always remember, his name is Chilbert. And that was just the random name that was assigned to it, like when I bought it.
legend.
And I was like, why would I change that? That's an awesome name. So Chilbert is my first chicken. I find that I'll get into the stuff that I like about it, but the biggest drawbacks are the combat. And it is another game where there is not a lot of ways for you to figure out what you're doing. So you do end up wikiing a lot of stuff or Googling it because I was just not sure if I was doing the right thing. But it just turns out I had to wait, forever, even though they keep saying like, do this. And I'm like, I can't possibly have that much money or, don't know where that thing is and all those types of things. So really cool. Other than that, I like you can sort of divide your time between animals and farming. I think I'm just going to do more of the like animal side and the fishing stuff. Much disappoint that snails are a thing you can catch in the game. I'm not on board with that. That's gross. The fishing mini game is just the right amount of difficult to make me
I think it's
like
perfect.
fishing
Yeah.
actually interesting in a game. Yeah. It was really difficult at the beginning, and I didn't catch fish for the longest time until I was reading through the wiki, and I'm like, I'll just double check I'm doing the right thing. And I wasn't. It was just because the screen said like to try and keep the green thing like behind the fish, and so I didn't know was supposed to be touching it. So I was always failing all the time until I figured out that I just read that instruction incorrectly, which was of no surprise to me. But really good game. I'll continue playing it. It's a good little game to play while you're waiting for other people or just sort of chill out for a little bit. Would recommend?
That
I don't know.
resounding endorsement.
It feels a bit dated, even though it's not that old. It does feel a bit dated, and there is so many games like it out there now that you really have to your pick of the litter, so to say, if you want to choose another game. But I can totally see the appeal, and I have no idea who I'm going to romance. So if you've played Stardew Valley and you have like a solid lead for me in terms of like a gift that I need to give someone, I now know that certain people like certain things only. I did try to give somebody fruit and they didn't like fruit, which was weird. Who doesn't like fruit? So that was weird. And I just learned that you can rustle through people's bins and try and find stuff. But the other characters don't like it when they catch you doing that. They think you're gross.
Bit dodgy.
So, yeah, a bit dodgy. Who knows? Maybe like Had a Full Boyfriend, which is pretty much the only other game that I've had romance options in that I played recently. I'll probably start a scooter band and ride off into the sunset. So if that's an option in
Definitely.
Stardew Valley, I'm definitely going to be doing that.
Or you'll just accidentally romance like
DLC.
I did.
Yeah. I think I'm going to
Oops.
accidentally romance the woman who sells all the animals because I keep giving her stuff because I don't have room for it in my inventory, so I just give it to her as gifts.
If you've got excess fruit, you want to have a chat to Gus at the bar. He loves oranges, so that's how you get it.
Oh, but
get
you don't
into his
want to
good books.
give him the wrong idea.
Yeah,
Sure.
see? There's right and wrong people to be in love with in this game. I feel sort of weirdly like there's something in my DNA that really wants me to romance Shane, and he's the teenager that's super moody, and he's always like, go away, I'm too busy. And I'm like, but like me.
Nah.
I don't know why. Something
choices.
deep inside me that needs to be squashed.
If you want
yeah,
to,
it-
experience more games with romance options, can I introduce you to our Lord and Savior BioWare, perhaps?
That's the thing, because I've never played a Bioware game, so I don't
Come
know
meet
that
my
needs
bro
to be
Gareth.
remedied.
He's
Yeah.
looking for love.
I've never been really good at these sort of dating sims, so yeah, maybe I should get into more games where I can have those options.
Or JRPGs.
Well, I am sort of quite deep into relationships with some of my characters in Persona, so we'll see where
But
that
you're
goes.
neglecting them.
I am neglecting them.
They're
I
very
bought Stardew
sad,
Valley. I'm
Imogen.
sorry, Persona. I'm sorry. And I was supposed to be playing
You're
Ori.
sorry.
I got so distracted, and now I've got a shiny new thing. And now I can't think of anything else. But
Seeing
like,
other
what am I going
games.
to plant in spring, guys? What happens at the end of the year? Yeah, I don't know how long I'll play it. It's one of those games I'm going to lose interest with pretty quickly. So
Yeah, the rule that I set myself when I played it is I wanted to go a whole year without looking at any wiki content, and then at the end of the first year, I sort of allowed myself to look up hints and cheats for how to do various different things, and that seemed to work all right. So, yeah,
I'm not looking up cheats. I'm just looking at how you do stuff.
not cheats, just you know what I mean, just guides on how to complete various tasks.
Don't
So-
wiki shame me, Luke.
I'm not shaming you. I'm just saying what I did. That's all. You can do it. Play your game how you
He's
want.
just saying.
I'm just saying. Hashtag just saying.
That's it. Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, you mentioned Starbound and sort of how Jam and I have been playing that a bit lately. I actually happened to finish Starbound story content this week. So I managed to get through to the last boss and beat that and kind of, in a sense, finish the game. But as Jam quite rightly pointed out, it's not really a game that you truly finish. It's like Minecraft where you can keep playing forever, essentially. So
Infinity.
Yep. But yeah, it was a good point for a pause. So I went back and fired up The Witcher again while I was waiting for Wolfenstein to download, which took a little longer than I expected. And by the time it downloaded, I was well back into The Witcher, so that didn't really get a look in. Ollie, I have a question.
Sure.
So in terms of NPCs in The Witcher and the general story, is absolutely everybody who's not part of the main cast of the Witcher's kind of crew, is just about everybody else in the entire world an absolute fucking shitheel? Because that's the impression I'm getting.
With
And even the ones in your crew can turn out to be pretty top guys as well.
Yeah. Because, man, that entire first area that you sort of play through, the small sort of farming community and settlement and stuff, there is nobody in that community that I wouldn't be happy putting to the torch. That was just a den of absolute fucking depravity. It was bad.
Aww.
So,
Yep, don't worry. It only gets better.
All right, sweet. Just making sure.
I'm not even making that up.
Making sure my perceptions work.
There are some areas where you're just like, oh god, I can see the real life parallels, and this is horrific.
Yeah.
God damn.
Just craft up some chlorine and cleanse the gene pools a bit. Just a tad.
I can't remember if it was Witcher 1 or 2, where you can hear the soldiers with their drinking songs. And oh my god, they are so filthy.
Oh, man.
Holy shit.
Just random
Well, I
conversational
don't
been
stuff.
on the
remember them, so
internet.
maybe they were the first one.
Yeah. There's just random conversational stuff. Like some of the village people, like the peasants and things, they use the same character models and the same voice lines for a lot of the ones just out in the world. And, you'll just wander past one of them and click on them to interact with them, and they'll be like, I fucked a she-elf once. It was like, by the time you get to the third or fourth one of those, you're just like, yeah, okay, so everybody in this village apparently has had their way with the Fae at some point.
Badge of honor.
So, interesting. Yeah. No, but there's a bit where like a witch early on in the game like fully propositions you and you're just like, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, But yeah, no, I do like how some of the choices you make, the narrative choices that you make very early on in the game, it actually starts to show you how things can be different depending on what you did and when. So there's a point where it actually refers back to something I did earlier in the game and said, if I had have chosen to fight this, I think things would have turned out differently at this moment. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that's good to know. Good to know the points that, would actually change the gameplay. So, but yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. It's good fun. I don't have a whole lot more to report, so I will do so when I get further into the story and torch some more sinners, apparently. So...
As one
Sounds
does.
delightful. A great way to spend your day.
Yeah.
Even better way to spend our day was playing Overwatch again because Mayhem is back. Hooray! And we're so happy. Turns out, by
We're really
some
good at it.
weird, universe vector is intersected, and we kick butt at
Yup.
Mayhem mode. Much better than any other mode that we play. So regular, competitive, all of that. We're just much better when you hand us all of the things all of the time.
No limits.
And spam. So we're like, the really good people who are good at like Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat. We're just really good at spamming keys.
We're the button mashers.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But strategic should be our new team name.
There is a recurring theme that I've noticed when we're playing Mayhem, though. It's because I'm always playing Farah, so I'm always up in the air, sort of, bombing things from afar. There's always
Okay, let's see if your recurring theme's my recurring theme.
there are multiple points during almost every game where people are like, all our team's all dead, and someone says, no, I'm still on the point, I'm the only one here. I'm just like, can nobody look up? I'm still here.
You don't count on the point, Luke. For like 5 billion time,
my
you do not
recurring
count as being on the
theme
point.
Is Luke, drop down to the point. We need someone on the point.
Yeah. The thing with Mayhem
tap
mode is
your
you get to overtime. Yeah, we get to overtime, and if we all die off the payload, Luke buzzing around goes, oh, look, guys, I watched us lose the game.
Not
You could have
true.
just like throw your body on the payload and continue the
I often
Overwatch.
throw my
Coming
body
out
on the
tonight, ladies and
payload,
gentlemen.
and every time it is throwing my body, my corpse on the payload. 'Cause the second I land, I am dead.
It's better
So-
than just sitting there and watching it happen.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
We
We
need
could
a
arrive
reset.
just at that second.
Yeah, true.
And yeah,
It's funny, though.
We usually all died at once, which is the thing with Mayhem mode, is so we all come back at once as well.
True.
Tensions run
May.
high too. So, like sometimes we honestly don't talk for 5 solid minutes of overtime, and then we're like, "Hey guys, good job, keep going." And it's just furious clicking.
Yep.
Goodness, I believe in us.
So
That doesn't
much
happen at
fun.
all. I don't know what you're talking about. Silence. I've never been quiet in a game of Overwatch in my life.
Nope.
Oh, you weren't playing with us that game. We had 2 games in a row where we probably had 20 minutes of overtime each.
Sheesh.
Earlier in the week.
My
Or on the
forearms.
weekend. It was insane.
90%
And we
win rate
managed-
last night. That was not a bad
We
effort.
managed to win, but seriously, at the end, everyone was on chat going, "What the hell was that? I've never had a game like that. Oh my god, that was amazing." We were just so well balanced, the 2 teams, and it's insane fun.
Yeah. So
I'm having fun hiding in my
if you
little
play
shield
Overwatch
as a
and you have
Orisa.
not tried Mayhem mode yet, do yourself a favor. It is seriously worth your time.
Just do it. Also,
Play
you might
Orisa.
join up with some of our friends like that we had yesterday, because we had a team of 5 for a long time. And we had these random people with us, and they were great. And they were like, "We want to stay as a team.
Yeah,
Take us
that
into
was
the fold."
awesome.
Until we got a sick person we knew, and we're like, "See ya."
Sorry.
But yeah, it was super fun, and everyone was having a good laugh. You get a couple of like people hating on people's choices for stuff and ways that things happen, and people get very frustrated. Like Sleep Chained by Anna, Lucio's boop. I had a boop off with Lucio just before we recorded this podcast. It did not end in my favor. Well, to be fair, I was off the board every time, and then I would boop him back. He would come forward and boop me off, and so I was continually using my double jump to get back onto the map, and yet it just couldn't spam anymore. But it really is worth it. Get amongst it and do it. You might actually be interested in playing more Overwatch, because to kick off our news this week, Blizzard have teased some more Doomfist lore, and the internet is simmering to full hype level, and feeling like Doomfist got kind of forgotten with the Orisa launch. Not 100% forgotten, but you know, everyone was sort of sated with a new character and everything else. But they
And the
dropped
anniversary event, yeah.
of course, and the anniversary event. You are correct, but they have updated their Overwatch blog with some more details about Doomfist, as well as an official name. But so basically, they've said, you know, they've released a security report from a maximum security installation, where a prisoner was basically freed, and his name is Akande Angandimo, better known as Doomfist, is what it says in the report. And then it goes on to sort of talk about, you know, the specifics of it, looking like they're reporting. And it sounds like they believe that Talon who's the bad guys, have some moles within Helix / the good guys, and that medical records of casualties seems to be in line with what Reaper can do in terms of cellular degeneration.
Ooh.
But which is basically confirming that it was a Talon attack. Now, this is all super cool, but we do also know that Doomfist is the gauntlet, and apparently it's cropped up in the game's different lore and is implying that, and also Winston allegedly killed Doomfist at one point, so potentially Doomfist is just a title given to whomever has the gauntlet. So it could be this person, it could have been that was a person a while ago and now it's somebody else, because we saw the Doomfist was in the Numbani map on the payload, and then of course the Orisa massacre happened, and so the start of that area kind of changed significantly, and Doomfist is gone. So I think somebody else probably is Doomfist now. But that was pretty exciting. I mean, it kind of got everyone re-excited for Doomfist again, but no further details of what it looks like or how they're connected. Seem to be continuing the connection to the Winston side of things, so
Bit of an observation at this point. I'm curious to see what your takes on this is. Because Doomfist has kind of been one of those bits of the Overwatch lore that's been simmering away for quite a while now. And we had that big, long ARG with Sombra where, you know, people were getting really frustrated with how long it was taking for her actual eventual reveal and the fact that it just seemed to go on forever. Do you think we've reached that point with Doomfist yet? Or do you think it's different because a lot of the hype is actually being generated by the community, not off of things that Blizzard's done? Because I think the Doomfist hype started way earlier than Blizzard actually kicked it off. I think, you know, they haven't really consciously pushed it along as much as they did deliberately with the Sombra stuff. So, I don't know, what do you think?
Well, it was evident, the gauntlet was evident in one of the very first videos, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
yes, so it's always been a part of the lore, I think, for that reason, and because they're not really pushing it until just now, that there isn't any kind of, I don't know, no one's tired of it yet, because no one was truly expecting it imminently. True. So they're not, you know, the frustration's not there. Everyone's just sitting back and waiting for them to build on that lore because it's been a background part of the story the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Sombra was a true, like, a ARG type viral sort of campaign in that you had to find everything for yourself. It wasn't Blizzard for Doomfist or releasing and, you know, the Lunar Colony and all of that. They're doing their leaks by sort of giving you documents like security reports and, you know, this, that, and the other. So obscure things still. So you're still sort of immersed in the story. You're not having to find this information yourself. They're making it readily available to you.
True.
So,
but if it goes on for weeks, people will get over it.
Yeah, it must be getting close.
They're building I feel very strongly like they're building a story, and I feel like, you know, Orisa was part of that, Lunar Colony was part of that, and they're trying to make everything so that when he comes, he's not just like, yay, new character, or it's, yay, new character, and look at all of this story that's intertwined with or he or she. I still guess it could be a she. You know, this is how they sort of try. Also, could be, like I said, that it's one person was Doomfist and now it's somebody else. So they're trying to delineate between the fact that someone can own Doomfist because potentially maybe they'll get rid of a character and make, you know, another character becomes Doomfist. That would be super cool. I'd love to hashtag call that, but that would be so far in the future. But I feel like if that happened, the community for that particular character would go a bit nuts.
Imagine if it wasn't a character, but if it was like a power-up.
Yes, if you could just steal it off a map and you become like a flag.
Or there's a boss. There's a boss in the middle of the level, and if your team beats him, they get to nick his Doomfist.
It's like a one-off unique BFG available on every level. So a big fucking laugh.
Let's just turn this into a proper MOBA, guys. Let's just beat the level boss and steal a power from them. Yeah.
I'll interject here as from the Doom side, if you've ever played Doom multiplayer where they have the demon power-ups, it doesn't fucking work, unfortunately.
No, I agree.
It really doesn't fucking work.
But if anyone could
having
make
the
it
one
work,
power.
it's Blizzard, right? Right?
Sure. Why not?
It's holding out hope. Blizzard have had a busy week as well because they've also made an announcement, StarCraft. Now, being a StarCraft scrub, as I am, I will pass to somebody else to talk about this.
Hello.
That guy.
So, I mean, this is something that we've known about for a little while because we knew that StarCraft Remastered was coming. But there has been an announcement this week that it is going to be released on the 14th of August. So we've actually got a date now. And it's going to be the remastered version of the original StarCraft and the original StarCraft expansion, Brood War, which still sees a fair bit of competitive play, especially in Korea with a lot of the esports sort of communities around there because it is a damn good game for that kind of thing. StarCraft Remastered will cost $14.99 US, and it's basically a full upgrade of all of the graphics of the 1998 original, and it's going to have widescreen high def support for 4K as well as higher fidelity sound and music, so it's going to be all completely remastered as well, and it's going to add a couple of new features to the game too, which is leaderboards and matchmaking, which is not something that was available for that game originally too. And when you're playing the campaign, you'll be able to save progress via cloud save, and some of the features from StarCraft 2 have been integrated into the game as well, like your hotkey customization, game replays, that sort of stuff, and you'll be able to sort of switch between the remastered options and the original options with the click of a button. So you can go back just pure old school if you want to and not have all that extra stuff, or you can use all the new fun features. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And Blizzard's actually offering a few freebies for people who pre-order StarCraft Remastered. So anyone who pre-purchases before the release date will get some unique building skins for use in the game. So you get like a a Char Hive, a Korhal Command Center, and a AO Nexus skin for your buildings. And also there's some digital bonuses in StarCraft 2, which you get if you pre-order as well, and some character portraits and stuff like that. So yeah, it's out on Mac and Windows PC, and there's a bunch of screenshots up online if you want to check it out. But yeah, looks like a good time. So StarCraft, super good game, and I think there'll be a lot of people keen to go back and relive that. So.
Yeah, just a few billion people worldwide play that game, but just a little game named StarCraft. Yeah. Should really count myself among some of those people. Another announcement that happened this week was a game that I used to love, but I think Ollie might be more excited about. Ollie,
I'm so
tell
excited.
us all about it.
I'm so excited. So, Evil Genius 2 has been announced, a proper sequel. For those of you that don't know about the Evil Genius game, it is fabulous. So, if you've ever heard of a game called Dungeon Keeper, where you play the bad guy running the dungeon, Evil Genius is basically the 70s spy version of that. So you are the Evil Genius.
This now explains your love for this game. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. It is glorious. So you are the Evil
good.
Genius. You run your base of operations. You have your doomsday weapon. You have your various plots. You have spies coming in to destroy your base and foil your plans, and you can tell them that you expect them to die. And it is wonderful. I loved the shit out of this game. And it came out a fair while ago. 2004 was the original Evil Genius one. Yeah. It's quite an old game. And I loved it back then. The art style was fabulously stylized. The gameplay was fun. But now they've announced, or I should say the people have announced, so
Rebellion.
This is from developer Rebellion. They've announced that they were going to get a proper sequel called Evil Genius 2. Mm-hmm. So there has been a DLC, there has been a little Facebook game, and everyone goes, they want all that. But now we have a second one, and it's going to be a fully fledged sequel. And
not free to play, which is a big
not free to play.
Deal.
It's going to be a proper game.
Yeah, some of the other DLC and stuff that they had was, just free to play, like little mobile games, and it did get a little bit destroyed by, ads and everything else, and kind of lost some of its sparkle.
The freemium.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool idea. I think people are going to have a lot of time for this game. In this world of, remember this great game from ages ago? We're making another one, or we're remastering it, or we're redigitalizing it, or whatever everybody else is doing. But that's pretty cool. Is this the type of game that you guys would play, Luke, Jam? Would be an evil genius?
Yeah.
If it's similar to Dungeon Keeper, I sound like I'd be totally into that. Absolutely. So
That's why I was amazed you hadn't played the first one.
Yeah, no, I literally hadn't heard of it until we started discussing it tonight. So, yeah, I think I'd be keen. It actually reminds me a lot of a board game that Jam and I have both played. Jam, you remember Mwahaha, that board game we played a while back?
Oh, yeah.
There's a game called that?
Yeah. It's literally called that. And it's kind of like a race. You're all sort of, Despicable Me style, evil geniuses trying to, put your doomsday weapons together to take over the world. But it's done as a board game. So you actually have to maintain like a base with minions sort of defending it and research technologies to get ahead of the other geniuses. It seems like the same kind of theme, but yeah,
similar
super fun.
theme, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
In less cool news, for one very small niche company, Tencent,
Just a little
super niche,
incredibly large organization. They copped a bit of a cut to their share price this week, namely over 4%. Which equals about $15 billion, unfortunately, in value. After a bit of a backlash, a branch of the Chinese government came out and with a report about addiction to video games, which for China is very real. They see it as a health problem. It's something that needs to be addressed, and there certainly is a lot of people spending just ridiculous amounts of time in video game, especially with the rise of esports. So this report came out, and one of the games they named as being a key sort of contributor to that was Tencent's game Honor of Kings. Not knowing a lot about the game, because it's probably just like a big game in China and not really as far-reaching. It does have more users per day than Pokemon Go, so that gives you an idea of the amount of people. They said that in response to this report, they would start to limit the amount of time that people under a certain age would be able to play on the game. To which the market went, no, we want the children's money, please. And obviously, just knee-jerk reaction to this thing. I don't think it's going to have a massive impact on them. Like I said, they're an absolutely gigantic company.
Yeah.
They have controlling shares in Activision and many other things, as well as they're releasing their own console and Riot Games and all of these people, so they're basically as many paces as they can be. In essence, really, they're not really a company as more as they are just like a massive, just overarching puppet master. That's probably accurate description of their hold on the market in
They
China.
are the evil genius.
They are a little bit of the evil genius. That would have been a great segue, but I didn't want to label them as evil because that's not necessarily the case. And I'm sure Honor of Kings is a good game. That's why so many people play it. But it is supposed to be for people 16 years or older. And apparently a lot of people who are playing are not that age. So we'll see how that plays out. That could be a bigger discussion we'll have to have about, the idea of being addicted to games and how, where does hobby become addiction and those types of things. But
think of a couple of guests we might want to get on for that one. That would be an interesting discussion for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a huge problem for China, and that's why we see those current affairs or like a journalistic inverted commas news program talking about gaming addiction and violence and video games. It's almost always someone who actually has a problem or is addicted to them. And that doesn't necessarily count for all of us, but it doesn't mean that it's not a problem. So we'll see how that plays out. Speaking of people who are not getting things, PlayStation users will miss out once again. This week, the developers of Cuphead have confirmed that they are a Microsoft and Xbox exclusive for 100% of the game's life. So there is not soon, maybe, none of that. A lot of the language is very, our hands are tied, and this is the agreement that we're in. But if you do have a PS4 only, you will not be able to play the game Cuphead. Cuphead, we've been waiting for releases in September this year, is basically a boss battle cel-shaded game that you can co-op play. It looks super great. I'm definitely getting it. I'm just lucky that I have an Xbox One to do so. I guess you could play it on PC. More people have PCs than consoles, but PS4, unfortunately, going to miss out on this one. Who knows? I don't know what this deal is. They obviously can't talk about it in much detail as they would, but it doesn't look likely that will be changing anytime soon.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, Microsoft needs a few good exclusives, and God knows PlayStation's had enough of them, so it's...
Yeah, I love how this article and everything that I've read about it, I try to look for a different angle, but it's always like, Cuphead's not coming to PS4. Not, wow, this is a great exclusive for Microsoft and Xbox One. Like, all of it is about that it's not going to PS4, whereas PS4 has an exclusive. It's, oh my God, Sony is amazing, and they're great.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's shots fired about the fact that they won't cross-platform play with Minecraft. They're like, no, we're keeping Cuphead, stuff you.
Just on the topic of Cuphead, I actually read a really interesting article about Cuphead during the week. It might have been a Kotaku one, talking about how the game, sort of from when it was first shown at a few different exhibitions, and this would go back to when we first saw it at PAX Oz, that was many, many years ago, which I think, Jan, was it 2013 that we saw it, or was it the second year?
It's 2014. It was the year I went.
2014, yeah.
Okay, so apparently around that time, and I don't know if this is going to fall before or after we saw it, you might remember that the game was originally talked about as just like a pure chain of boss battles, and that was pretty much the entire game. Apparently, from feedback back then, they actually scrapped the entire original plan and went back and changed the whole game to be a full-on platformer. So not just boss battles, actually having full levels as well. So yeah, they basically redesigned the game from the ground up based on that early feedback, and
platform game.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the platform levels will be a major part of it. I think it's definitely still going to focus on the boss battles, and I don't think you'll find those any less frustrating, Imogen, than the sort of stuff that you already find frustrating.
Oh, I'm happy as long as I get to play with someone. I'm not taking on another platform game by myself. Just not. It's just not happening. I'm too deep into Ori, and I'm so fed up. More about that later.
Night number 2 coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of support, thanks for the awesome last-minute segue, Oliver.
Got you back.
You can support some very good cause, well, one very big cause this week/weekend. Games Done Quick Summer Edition is on currently, so it's happening as we speak. All this week until Sunday, at the end of Sunday US time. Games Done Quick, if you have not heard about it, is a biannual streaming marathon of people speedrunning games, and it is super entertaining to watch. The whole weekend they stream, they're on Twitch and they're all over the place, so you can find them if you just Google GDC Summer or Games Done Quick. You will find them. This edition is funding for Doctors Without Borders or Médecins Sans Frontières. Very, very worthy cause, and also a little bit topical in that a new order from president in the United States had said that they would not be funding organizations that presented educational information about abortions in other countries, of which Doctors Without Borders is certainly one of those. So they lost a large amount of funding from the American government, which is incredibly unfortunate and not done with a lot of foresight, I don't think. So this is a very worthy cause. I just checked before we started today, so it is Wednesday, so you're probably not listening to this until sort of Friday, Saturday. They were at about 450,000 already. So
Yeah,
this
almost
last
460.
year. Oh, awesome. So they reached 1.3 million last year, which is a huge amount. And so hopefully you guys can go over, check it out. If not, just look up their website and look at, some of the videos you can this year support in support of particular people. So you can say, I'm contributing because I'm a big fan of X person who's a speedrunner. It's also a great way for you to watch just some amazing, I'm going to call it gaming athletics, in terms of reflexes and just the way that your brain works and fires. Has to be a very special way to be, I think, a good speedrunner at these guys'
so
levels.
silly.
Yeah. If there was
He's got it going
ridiculously silly.
right now, and Bowie the Hero is speedrunning Onimusha Warlords, and there's like a panda with a tiny baby panda in a pouch in front and a giant wasp thing. I've got no idea what's going on. He's in a cutscene, and
Onimusha
he's
is a
wiping
very
his hands,
special
getting ready.
game. Yeah, that was a really big ticket item. A lot of people are very keen to see that one, so that could be a good one if you like your game super weird. Then definitely check that one out. But yeah, there's all sorts of really great. So definitely take a look at that. Just watch the stream or just go back on their Twitch and have a look at what some of these amazing people do. And if you can, commit some money. If not, retweet, follow, signal boost, the whole lot, because this is going to benefit an organisation that will benefit the world, not just the United States.
I think the world records have been getting smashed a few times this week already with it too. Like one of the Castlevania games, I think it might have been Castlevania 2, got smashed twice last night. So yeah, if you ever had a game that you wanted to learn how to play a bit more effectively, watch it.
Yeah, because
sure.
they're discussing their tactics and everything. Oh,
Yeah,
this panda's doing well.
Why is Ori not on this list? There needs to be an Ori speedrun.
Panda. Oh, that would be insane. Some of the best ones to watch, my highest recommendation is look at the schedule for anything that's listed as a race between two speedrunners. Because those are nail-biting to watch. They finish within seconds of each other. That's not a segue. And they're super, super fast at what they do. And sometimes you can be pipped at the world record by just a couple of seconds in those races as well. So interesting things to watch. We've got to move on from our news. A lot of bit of news for July, even though it's a bit of a quiet season, but some interesting things happening nonetheless. The topic this week is our Game of the Month. Yay! Party Game of the Month. We still don't have a theme song for that. This month's game, was Never Alone, which was my party game pick, which means I get to lead the review. Never Alone is a puzzle platformer from Upper One Games. It was released in late 2014. It is a game based on the stories and the culture of the Inuit people, namely, more importantly, the Nubiak people.
Now, Mimo, what is the other name for the game? I want to hear you have a crack at this.
Kasima Ingatuna?
Sure. That sounds right.
Nice.
How are you going to challenge me to say it and you don't even know how to pronounce it?
No. I just wanted to see your take on it. That sounded good to me. Never
That's
mind.
not my take on it. That's how you say it. All right. I've done my research. Settle down, Grandpa. All right. At the moment, the game itself is $2.99 on Steam because it is on sale, and which is an amazing price for this game. It is usually around the $15 mark and does have an expansion called Foxtails, which expands on the story. The basic idea behind the game and really what inspired it, Upper One Games worked with the Cook Inlet Tribal Council to create a game that really showcased the Inuit culture, as well as focusing on some local people, a lot of local stories, and namely concentrates on a story as told by Robert Cleveland, who narrates through it. They use his actual voice from a collection of works from the River Island people. So it's based on that idea of sharing and storytelling, because that's really what the Inuit people do, and that's how they share between their communities. They share what they eat and everything else, and they share stories. So this game was basically designed to introduce you to the Alaskan people, the Nubiak people, to the story of Canuck Sayuka, which forms sort of the end part of the game, but sort of the theme for the game from the beginning to the end, with some little bits and pieces added to sort of show you the full range of the culture. It is available on everything. It's even available on the Wii U. So if you want to play it on the Wii U, do that. It is, like I said, a platforming game which does have puzzle elements. You have two characters, being Nunya, which is the little girl, and then her fox. You can play local co-op, which is pretty neat. I wish that I could play online co-op so that people could help me, because playing both, if you don't play co-op, you play both the characters. And so there is a really interesting mechanic of switching between the little girl, Nunya, and her fox. And they both have different sort of abilities which will help you through the level, which is, I guess, the big puzzle element of it is figuring out who has to do what where. And the only thing that I would change about the puzzle platformer is just to stop the screaming. The death screams are bad. I don't like it. The little noise the little fox makes is awful. And the little girl, she's like horrible scream, and whoever dies, the other one's like covering their eyes like and crying. It's just devastating. And in a game where pretty much you're expected to fail some things at least once, it's pretty brutal to listen to. The big thing for this game is it is sort of side scrolling, and so sometimes you do take what Jam and I like to call leap of faiths, and hoping for the best at the end. But you sort of run through the levels. You reach these little owls that are either sitting in the foreground or the background somewhere, and when you reach them, they unlock Cultural Insights, which is a series of 24 videos that you can watch along with playing the game. So when you reach a certain point, it'll pause and you get a chance to watch any insights that you collected while you were doing that. Yes. I got 22 of 24, so I have not seen them all.
Me too.
Unfortunately. There was definitely one insight that I worked very hard to get before realizing that wasn't part of the level and it was just to get the insight. And then got to a stage where I just wanted to finish the game. What about setting, guys? And the art style? What would you call the art style?
It's tough to quantify, isn't
White.
it? Yeah.
There is a lot of white, a lot of snow.
Well, it's beautiful. I mean,
It's
the characters,
gorgeous.
they look soft in the snow, which I really like. And the beautiful little Arctic fox, when they have to, so when the wind's blowing very strongly, they have to lower themselves to the ground and brace against it. And the fox does this little butt wiggle sometimes. It's so cute with his little fluffy tail. I think it's really sweet. But there's so much white to it. I mean, it's set up in the Arctic Circle, so
one thing
it's very cold and lots of snow.
One thing I really did like with the art style is some of the Arctic spirits that you sort of come across, the white line sort of body outline shapes that they use for all of those.
Yeah,
they look almost like cave paintings.
They're called the Celia.
Yeah, that's
the weather spirits.
That's the one. They were really cool looking. They're just the
So the insights. One of the insights shows the art form that inspires the art, that and the cutscene art. And it's the scrimshaw art that they do on baleen and ivory, like the traditional carvings.
Yep.
The etchings. It's amazing. I
Can I
didn't
just say,
realize
though,
they could do that much on baleen.
that art style with that they do the little cutscenes with, the people are really freaking creepy looking in that.
Yeah.
Not to
Hard
be rude
carve,
or
Hard to
anything.
carve on ivory, dude.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm fully aware of that. But as someone who's tried to carve horn before, I can understand. But yeah, Jesus, those people in the carvings are really creepy looking. I'm like, oh my.
Yeah, but
hey,
I mean, it's just
that's the art style.
representational. Yeah.
Oh no, exactly. I really do like the spirits.
It's
though.
lovely
the spirits
that
look
it's worked
awesome.
into it. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, I think in terms of sort of the art and I guess what you're saying around the snow, really plays well into sort of some crucial mechanics. There is areas of the game where the wind is against you and areas of the game where you need to use it, and I thought that was super clever. That was something that definitely could have been explored more, and I was worried that I was getting into Ori territory where I was starting to like learn a thing and then I was going to need to use it like all of the time. And I was just like, this picture in my head of things like ramping, but it did definitely stop. It is a very short game. I will point that out. I finished it in 3 hours, I think.
Yep. Did we all finish it? I think
probably less.
all four of us finished it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That might be a first for Party Gamers a month.
Well, it's good. It's a good measure of an appropriate pick, because if it's a time length that we can all finish, then it's a great one to pick. So, yeah.
I mean, you're welcome.
Yep. Between 2 to 3 hours, I would say, for this game.
Yeah. If you want to do like completionist mode, it will probably take you a little bit longer to find those final two, because I did feel like I spent a lot of time looking for them and I didn't see them. There were later in the game that I missed them, where I probably noped out and just like, I just need to finish the game, because things got very intense very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, there are some definite turning points where things get quite full on in that narrative.
Oh, you know when we were online together playing, and we reached our key moment at the same time.
Yeah.
And we both just went,
Uh-oh.
and then there was silence.
Yeah, I cried.
Yep.
I cried on mic to Gem.
There was a bit where I thought that I'd fucked up and the game was going to reload my last save, and then it kept going, and I was
exactly
like,
it.
oh.
I was like, did I just get a fail ending? Oh no. Yeah, it was pretty good. The only thing that I will say for this game in terms of mechanics is it's beautiful, the art style, everything, but the controls feel like I'm playing through cotton wool. I did play on a controller on PC, just FYI, if anyone's interested.
I played keyboard, and I felt the same way. It wasn't quite as responsive as I wanted. It was too easy for the character to not come to a stop when I intended and walk off the edge of a cliff.
Oh, yeah.
Or overhang. Nuno gets these bolas as a weapon at one point that she can use to break through ice or manipulate the level in some way. And the way that you aim them is to raise or lower her arm.
God, it's so difficult.
But it's really hard with her tiny little arm in this big screen to actually accurately get the angle.
There's no indication on screen as to where you're aiming. That's the problem.
Yeah, her hand.
There is her arm.
Oh, yeah, besides that.
But there's no, like, targeting reticle or anything like that.
And there's drop-off. So you've got, like, a vague idea of direction, but it's difficult because depending on the distance and the wind, I think it affects it. So
fortunately, the targets are usually reasonably sized, like particularly when you're under pressure, like you have to follow something while you're on the run. Like the things you're firing at are usually decent size, so you can kind of
they're closer to you when there's a bit of pressure, and there are times when you're under a bit of pressure.
just a few
That's where you do the leaps of faith, and then you die, and someone squeals horribly, and you try again. But it's really cute because the fox can influence the spirits in different ways. That he can manifest them and influence them to a small degree, which helps Nunya navigate her way through the level. But
it's pretty cool.
It's a bit clunky, unfortunately. I found that it detracted a bit from my enjoyment because I was just getting frustrated when I wasn't jumping exactly when I wanted to, or stopping when I wanted to.
Yeah, there was definitely moments in the game where it brought back memories of games like Super Mario, where there was a very precise pattern that you needed to follow or you were going to fail, and you either passed it just or you failed every time, to the point where I definitely in a couple of parts thought, I'm doing this wrong, and then suddenly it worked that last time.
Yeah.
Which was super weird. Too. I also died doing one thing, and then I rezzed, because I was just about to read something, I rezzed on the other side, so I didn't actually have to complete the puzzle, which was weird. That happened to me at least 3 times. I was like, hooray! I'd already done the puzzle multiple times. I was just missing the jump, so whether or not it was like a rubber band mechanic in the game, or I had just must have reached like the next checkpoint in the game.
Maybe the game was getting fed up with you.
Somewhere else.
It's like,
that's what I thought. I was like, all right, game, all right, fair enough. Yes, I'm not brilliant at platformers. Okay. Yes, I know. I chose this game.
I found because you tend to, it's side-scrolling and you're essentially dealing with a 2D world, but they've got artwork behind and in front. Sometimes the artwork in the foreground hid a detail from me that meant I missed a jump or fell off a cliff I didn't know was there, which was a little unfortunate. It only happened a couple of times, but
particularly with the snow-covered branches, like some of the snow-covered branches in the background look like they're platforms,
really
but they're
strange
not.
Placement.
Yeah,
you think you're about to run up a slope, but you run off the edge of something because that slope up is actually something in the foreground.
Yeah,
but still rather beautiful.
Gameplay-wise, I I said this to you guys the other night, but I kind of drew a bit of a mental comparison. I thought the whole game seemed a bit like a cross between Ori and the Playdead games, like Limbo and Inside. Like if you were to blend those together, it was kind of somewhere in the middle of that. Just with, as you mentioned, slightly clunkier controls and, there wasn't any real progression happening. But, I mean, the Playdead games don't really have any progression per se. They're kind of just the straight narrative. You don't upgrade your character or anything like that. You get a couple of new abilities as you go, like the bowlers, and that's about it. But, I did love the way that everything was just a cultural love letter. Like the whole thing just played out exactly like that.
Yeah. The ending was rather impressive.
That, I think, is the strongest part of the game.
Yeah.
By a country mile.
Easily.
The ending or the cultural stuff?
The cultural aspect.
Yeah.
It was done to showcase it, and so in a way I'm happy that that's the main takeaway that I guess I got, and it sounds like you guys got as well, is that it was just amazing to learn all of this information. The narration by Robert Cleveland as well is in his native language, which is then subtitled. So you kind of very quickly get the idea for the accent, the intonations, and those types of things, and just you're really involved in it. There's one cultural insight where they play the drum, which is great, and hearing stories about growing up, being just the isolation of living out there, the survival aspects, but then also things like the community, and once you caught things, you shared it with everybody if you could, or you took it to the elders first, and those types of things. Just information that, to be honest, I looked at this game and thought, why don't we have this for our own Indigenous story?
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like to be fair, there is a lot of TV and film content that's coming out now which is geared to that. Clever Man is a really great one. If you're listening in Australia and have not watched Clever Man, it's really good. Done by the ABC. It's basically a Indigenous superhero, but a lot of it is harking back to old stories and old ways of doing things, but with very modern twist. So which is kind of cool. So there is some stuff out there, but a game like this would just that you could even introduce it into sort of like a program so that people could play the game, have fun, learn about game mechanics, but then also just be able to experience and hear stories from different languages and different backgrounds would be.
I'm not in the least bit surprised that we all got that. Like that was one of the first things I started thinking, especially when it started getting into the spiritual stuff. I was just like, man, we need a game that is like this kind of game that explores like the Aboriginal Australian Dreamtime fables, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Rainbow Serpent. All those wonderful stories.
That'd be a cool premise for a game. Like that idea of someone, because effectively this is the game is they're surviving in this environment, these things are happening, and then you find out that that's related to this big story about the weather spirits and Canuck Sayuka, which is, the story that's being told and how that ties in and why that affects things and the story behind it. And definitely our own Indigenous stories have that theme. So I just... make it. Anyone who's listening right now and you think that's a really cool freaking idea, one thing that I would say that these guys did 110% correctly is that Upper One Games fully admitted they wanted to do it, but they didn't want to tell the story. So that's where I think the idea of the cultural insights come from, actually working with the Cook Inlet Tribal Council in Alaska, they're not-for-profit, whose job is to share these stories and to help people know more about the culture from where the land comes from. And they would need to do the same here. And it doesn't have to be, they're not saying this is all Inuits, and they say it multiple times, this is just the Alaskan Inuits, whilst there's similarities, so it doesn't have to be as broad-reaching as all Indigenous mobs that we have here. It can be, an individual story of an individual area of Australia. It could be a great showpiece for, a state-based funding, crossover. I don't know, something really cool. But somebody do it, please. I will buy it and distribute it and all of those things. It would be really, really great. I guess individual thoughts on the game probably is a good time for that. I will say that... Who wants to go first? Well, I'll go first.
Yeah, you go.
Should I go first?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
I loved the idea of the game. I loved the art of the game. I loved absolutely everything about the game other than the actual game part of it. Because I do not like platformers. I will admit that I think a lot of it comes from my fatigue from battling away at Ori so much, because as soon as I jumped in, I'm like, oh God, it's another puzzle. I'm failing. There's screaming, all of this stuff. And I just got really fed up. And thanks to Jam, who jumped online so we could play and talk to each other at the same time actually got me through finishing the game. So everything about the game is great. I'm just not a big platformer fan, and it is a lot of platform key elements. So game not necessarily for me, but certainly I'm glad that I played it. And also add it to the list of things I finished this year. Hooray! Which I'm super excited about and is not common. But yeah, I dearly love this game, and it makes me curious as to why we don't have one of our own for our own people and our own story. Maybe I'll look more into that on my own personal escapade, but we'll see. How about you guys?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was lovely, and I'm very glad Imogen suggested it. I did find it a bit clunky, and I think there was a little too much delineation between story and gameplay. Like it was either you were getting a piece of story or you were running and jumping. It didn't really intertwine them together as much as I'd hoped, although I could see, the elements there. I don't know how when you're working with a story that's been handed down orally over generations, you don't want to take too much creative license, and I can appreciate that. So I don't know necessarily how you could improve on that, but such a lovely idea, such a wonderful way to capture some cultural history and share it with the world, but also, have it there for the children to experience as they grow up in those areas. And yeah, it would be great to see more. The price tag, how much did we pay for it? I'm not even sure. What's the full price?
$3.99 for the DLC, and the main game is just let me hit
$2.99 on sale or $14.99 originally. I bought it. I bought it in the last Steam sale, so I can't remember how much I paid for it.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but grab it on sale if you're at all curious. But don't want to commit to $15. It's just lovely. I'm hoping it gets back to the community, this sale, some way. I'm not sure if it does. Yeah. I'm very, very glad I played it and finished it.
Yeah.
I'm basically going to mirror what Jam said. So I love the visuals, love the art style, love the cultural aspect. Gameplay for me, again, I completely agree. It was very much, here's the game, here's the story. Here's the game, here's the story. I didn't feel it flowed super great, and the mechanics were a little bit clunky. They were a little bit unresponsive at times, and a little bit, I don't know what's the word. I didn't feel like there was enough progression, if that makes sense. I would have liked even just a teeny bit more gameplay progression. Just a teeny bit would have been nice. But overall, I really enjoyed it. But I feel like that's because they did the cultural aspect so well. Had they not done the cultural aspect as well as they did, I don't feel like I would have enjoyed this game as much as I did.
Absolutely.
And so it was, for me, I almost felt like it was a cross between a documentary and a game. It was like an interactive documentary that I could be like, I earned the next piece of this documentary I'm watching. There we go.
That's a pretty good explanation. You're owning pieces of a documentary, really.
Yeah, like that's what it felt like to me. And I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that. But I just wish that those gameplay elements were a little bit stronger and a little bit more polished. Is just what I would like.
No, that's fair. So I'll pretty much echo everything that you guys have said. I don't disagree with any of that at all. I think that two of the big pluses for me in how this game plays. One is that for something that is essentially like an icy wasteland that you're sort of traversing through for a massive part of the game, they actually did a really good job in varying the different levels with the environments that you're in. So you actually do have levels where you are trudging through snow, and then you've got levels where you're sort of trying to jump across floating iceberg sections that are shearing off from each other and crumbling apart as you're platforming across them. And then you had like frozen rivers with bits of tree and stuff that you needed to kind of skate down and sort of surf before it plunges into the water. And there's actually an underwater level too, so there is a good mix of different environs, and I thought that was really, really good. And a good mix of left to right platforming as well. Like it's not just all in the same direction. You actually do have some levels where you're going back the other way, and it feels natural. It doesn't feel like you sort of it's not off-putting in the way that some games are when they turn it around and do the right to left. So that was good. I think that the sort of unresponsiveness of some of the controls aside, I think that they did the switching character mechanics with Nuna and the Fox really well. Like the role that each of them play and their different abilities are not massively different, but just different enough that it actually really does give you a purpose to switch between the two of them. And I can see this game being a lot of fun when you do the local co-op and one player actually takes the role of each one of them. It's something that I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get the chance to try that before we talked about it tonight, because I think that could be really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd say, Luke, it's a great opportunity. I think games like this is great to share with your kids.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that would be a really good opportunity. And it's not a super hard game. Like, there's definitely some bits that will, take you a couple of attempts to sort of get your head around how they work and do without dying. But, I mean, I don't think there's any point to this game where you sort of hit a wall and you're getting frustrated by not being able to proceed. It's not too hard. So, it's definitely a game that's designed to help you through it so that you experience the narrative rather than, trying to up your game as far as leveling or platforming or puzzling goes. So, and as a platformer, it's a different enough platformer that I can't say that it's just another one of those. Like, there are things in this game that are completely different to any other platformer that I've played before. So, the use of the weather, sort of the blizzards, that's different enough. The way that you use the two characters, the use of the spirit animals that you're sort of interacting with in the background, and you have to kind of keep both characters within range of each other to use some of those effectively to platform. All that stuff is different enough that I think it is really good and unique. So, yeah, no, I enjoyed it a great deal. It was a really good, solid game. So there you go.
Yeah, I think the party game of the month is about us experiencing new things. We've had some weird and wonderful ones, but I'm really glad that this ended up being, because I liked it initially because I knew it was storytelling, and I obviously love the art style of it. When I watched the sort of the idea behind it and the not-for-profit funding, that's what drew me to it. But I'm actually really glad it had how it turned out, even though it is a platform game. I think, just in concluding, I just hark on a point that Jamie made earlier, that the idea behind the way that the Inuit people would share stories through carving them into baleen. It seems kind of weird that in the year 2014 someone carved it into some digital bits and bytes and that's going to continue to share their story for them. And so I just find that a really interesting way from looking at a culture that relies on some very ancient ways to share their story to now being quite innovative and taking a step towards sharing it with the wider world. I think it's pretty cool.
And good on them, absolutely. It was just the right length, I felt. Just the right length. Yeah,
it has just, it is, it's 2014, so I guess, the game may not have aged well in terms of some platform elements, especially when we're comparing it to games like Ori, which is, next level, pardon the pun, in terms of platformers. But I am surprised that it has not spurred more of this type of game. If you are listening to this and you're like, you're already the Imogen, there's all of these other games that you can play that will teach you about all of these other cultures. Please tell me what they are, because I would love to play them, because I have looked and I can't find any more. Yeah, solid thumbs up from me. Check it out. Never alone.
Nice. All right, well, that means it is our favourite time of these episodes, which is when we get to choose the game for the next month. So we have the list and we have the rules, which are what, Jam? How does someone...
Oh, why are you through to me?
Yeah, because I knew you
Why
were
you
there.
do this?
All right, so picking the game to send to us, what do they need to know?
We want to be able to finish it within a reasonably briefish amount of time. So that's less than 8 hours. Although it's shrinking a bit for us. We'd prefer it to be available digitally so that we don't have to leave the house, because that's scary. But something you think that we would find cool and under $30 Australian.
Well,
was that our...
Almost always ends up being US that we have to look at, so yeah, sure.
US, let's say not too much over 20 US then.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty good so
That
far.
exchange rate, yo.
Ish.
Cool.
But yeah, something you think might not have captured our attention otherwise, that you would recommend, or that you don't know about and want to put us through its paces to see if you want to play it.
Yeah.
So let us know.
Well, I think if anyone's been listening for a while and sort of seen the sorts of games that we tend to review for the Party Game of the Month segment, we do this without fail every single month. We've gone through quite the list over the time that the show's been on, and a really good variety of weird and wacky different sort of tastes for all types of gamer. So throw us something that we haven't seen before. Challenge us. We'll take a look and see what we think. So anyway, so Ollie, are you ready to grab whatever dice you've got and let's work out what we're playing next month?
I got a 5. What is 5?
5.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
What? What is it? I'm not in the doc.
It is
I don't
Cluster
know.
Truck, as submitted by party loaded #1 fan, Simon. And I don't know, I don't have the information in front of me, but all I
pulling
remember
it
is
up.
when it originally got suggested, I looked it up and it looks insane.
It's a platforming
Oh, wow,
game
this
across
looks bonkers.
moving sort of semi-trucks.
Platforming.
it's that
Nemo,
one.
you're welcome.
Yay! Huzzah! I'm so excited. Is this the crazy one where you're like, everything's just moving really fast?
Yeah,
and you've got like
it's a
physics and stuff?
physics-based one. So it's kind of like a floor is lava kind of setup where you've got speeding
Oh,
trucks.
this is the
man.
one where the dev, when people are live streaming, the dev starts messing with their live stream.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep. Okay, I've seen this. So it's on Steam for, guys, for the next 4 hours, it's like 67% off. We should probably get on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Adding to cart now.
Ordinarily $15 US, and it says use agility and acrobatics through insane levels in a game of the floor is lava on top of unpredictable speeding trucks. The game only gets harder when dangers such as swinging hammers, lasers, and flamethrowers are added. Oh God, it
Sounds
gets more
super
and more
easy,
evil.
guys. I'm going to love it.
I would like to put this out there right now. I think this is the sort of game that we need to capture video of us playing for and put some stuff up on the channel. That would be great
Yeah,
fun.
a little bit.
Yep.
Single player, but bonkers
Yep.
looking.
Bonkers.
Full controller support memo. There you go.
Oh, awesome.
Hooray!
fine
That is good news.
Add to cart.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, guys, do I add Gang Beasts to cart?
Yeah,
Tell me.
yeah, go
Is
ahead.
anyone else picking it up? Okay.
Oh, I gotta
done.
wait. I
That
can't
wasn't
open
difficult.
Steam and record a podcast. You people in your proper PCs.
Add to cart.
Oh, God.
What else do I buy, people?
Everything. You've only got another 3 or so hours, so get onto it.
Download Steam.
Yep.
Okay.
All of it.
The whole internet.
Yep. Start at A, work your way through.
All right.
Oh, there you go. Near Automata's 30% off jam. Get that.
I know. I think I'm going to get that at the next sale because of the shit time commitment. I'm not going to be able to get to it for a while.
Unacceptable.
Yeah.
Well, I got Deus Ex, so, that'll tide me over when I get to
It
it.
will, actually. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good playthrough. Nice. Well, I hope to be able to chat about Wolfenstein next week. Now that I've finally got that thing installed, it was what was it, about 50 gig download or something? One of those nice chunky ones.
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. But,
Just a little one.
yeah, but it'll be good times. Just on the topic of Stardew Valley too, which Memo has been playing and obviously mentioning earlier on the episode, we actually do have some Stardew Valley content up on the YouTube. So if anyone wants to check that out,
We do?
Yeah, it was. It
yeah,
was
we
in
do.
fact the first video that we uploaded. So if you want to get a bit of a feel for what that game looks like, check it out at youtube.com/channelendgame. And you can check out all of the other great videos that we've got, as well as our ongoing podcast content, which goes up there at the same time that we release the show onto iTunes and all the other usual spots. So there you go.
But where's the new Portal 2 video, Luke?
The one we haven't made
everyone
yet.
Freaking
the Pop Go
play
One.
it.
We've got to release the ones we've made first.
That's it. We got a few in the pipeline there, so yeah, we'll get those up. But anyway, in the meantime, if you want to let us know what you thought of Never Alone, or if you've had some prior experience with Cluster Truck and want to let us know what kind of shenanigans we're in for, hit us up on our email, mail@partyloaded.com. You can also find us to make game suggestions on Facebook. Just look for Party Loaded, and on Twitter @PartyLoadedShow. And of course, if you're enjoying the content on iTunes, we'd really appreciate some kind words if you want to put a quick review together. So hop on there and let us know your thoughts. And that would be awesome. That would be really, really solid. So,
Or constructive thoughts. I mean, you can shit all over us. Just tell us how to improve it.
as
just shit all over Luke.
long as it's genuine, that's all I ask for. That's cool.
Genuine.
Yeah.
Genuine shit.
Sincere shit.
Luke has asked for it. It's on the internet now.
Oh, nice. Well, we've actually finished at a reasonable hour. So what say we all get off and play some Mayhem, gang? You up for some of that?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, I would like to
I am up
shoot
for video games.
Awesome. All right.
things.
Well, we'll call it there. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Enjoy your gaming this week. We'll be back again in 7 days. Until then, ta-ta.
See ya!
Days.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.